Great. I'm having so many operator errors right now. Now I'm back to my email. Okay. So if somebody's talking, I'm going to need you to Marielle to manage it because otherwise I can't figure out how I can see all the people. And so whenever it's time for Brandy to share, I'll need you to take over and I'll stop sharing at that point.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. I hope you have had a most wonderful week. I got off an airplane yesterday and I was in Calgary and my daughter had a hockey tournament and it's kind of a cool town up there if no one's ever been there. It has a very similar feeling to Denver and our mountain communities, and the mountains are beautiful. Like the escarpments once you get like up to Banff and so on, they're phenomenal. So I highly recommend. And as we are rocking in here, I would love to hear your something good. Can we have three people who can tell us something good this morning? Take yourselves off mute.
We can
Can you
go.
hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say that the system worked. Uh, we have been struggling, but putting everything in command, all our people. And I just listed a $2.5 million little ranchette, and we sent it out to all our sphere. And the first person that called was in our sphere. We put it under contract in 4 days, and they're listing their $2 million house to sell now. So that worked really well. I would have never thought to call them because it is so out of their normal sphere of what they like or have done or phase in life or anything, but they love it. So interesting.
Awesome. Awesome. Congratulations. Nice work.
Thanks.
Good stuff. Okay. Oh, can you still see me? Can you still see my screen? I hit a button.
Yep.
We can go.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Can I have another one?
Sure, we can go from mountain properties.
Fabulous.
We we had a blast at Red Day. We had a really big turnout. Lots of other businesses that partnered with us and gave away prizes. People in the community were super generous, and we filled up two cars and got a bunch of cash for Salvation Army. So it was just a really rewarding day.
Great. I mean, that's always the goal for sure. I know Lindsay Morrow, Lindsay, again, I can't see who's on the call right now. Lindsay told me last year when we were doing the food drive for Red Day, that it completely filled her cup. And we were also able to give back to the community. So I'm glad that it did the same for you and for our communities. All right, one more. One more.
I'll go. It's so random. And I'm Amanda. I'm not normally here. I'm Amanda from Grand Junction.
Hi, Amanda.
Um,
How are you?
so hi, Leslie. Also, thank you, Leslie, for connecting me with Katie. That was like a huge win. She
Awesome.
helped me do a co-list in Leadville. So that was a huge, wonderful experience. But this is not real estate related, but it impacts real estate. So today I happen to I like to lift weights, and I happen to hit a 203 pound squat thing, and I was in my head, and I was looking at the girl next to me who's super tiny and lifting heavier than I am. And one of the things that hit me was how we look at other people and we don't play our game. We don't do our thing. And when we do that, when we get our eyes off of ourselves and off of our goals, we end up defeating ourselves. And so when I got my eyes off of her and I focused on my goals, I ended up succeeding more than I even expected and had a lot of fun doing it. So what I love about, working out things is it transpires into other places in our life. And so today I'm taking that in is my win was this morning, and I'm going to take it into the rest of the day to have the mindset of, when I succeed in one area and play my game, I'm going to do really well. So I'm going to focus on my goals. And you, Joan, for that exciting what you did, because that actually encourages me to get my butt back into command and do what I need to do. So thanks, Joan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There are so many parallels between sport and real estate and life. And I think that it's really important that, anything that we're goal setting, and if we don't compare ourselves with somebody else, then we're going to be we're going to be further ahead. I mean, we can definitely use the people around us to motivate, but that comparison is the thief of joy for sure. So nice work, Amanda. Thanks for sharing. All right, let me see. For a brief second, I got to see everybody's faces, and now I need to pop back over to my other screen in my presenter window. So let's see, Base Camp Buzz. We've got some stuff happening here. So Monday through Friday, and this is going to be, we're going to change this, guys. So the Breakthrough Accountability Group, we've kind of dwindled down to about one or two folks who are joining us on that call in the morning. So we are going to continue to encourage everybody to jump on the KWRI accountability call with Cody Gibson. You can find out how to register for that in Connect if you just type in accountability circle, I believe, or something along those lines. Marielle, if you have that link, if you wouldn't mind dropping that into the chat, that would be really helpful. And Ryan and I are actively discussing the other day of the week that we're going to do this accountability group. So we're going to change the things up in the calendars, probably not today, but if Ryan and I can come to, come to the agreement, we don't have any issues with it. We just have to figure out what day it'll be at 9 a.m. that we're going to do this. And then we'll update the calendars with that too. Katie Briggs is continuing to do her productivity coaching at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. If you're not part of her group, I highly recommend that you connect with Katie. And Rod Fishkin is doing contracts training in person in the Edwards office. Is there also a Zoom link for that? I think that there has been a Zoom link for that as well, but double check your calendars. And then we've got some tech trainings. Please just, again, check the calendars because there's a lot of good stuff. You don't need to do everything, but I think what Joan was referring to earlier was those command trainings that we all hopped on a week or two ago. And as we start to use the technology that we're paying for, it will literally pay off to you as well. So Prompt Like a Pro, Master the Language of AI is going to be the 21st at noon. Hop on your calendar. Don't forget that this month is CARES Month, is KW CARES Month in honor of Mo Anderson's 88th birthday or 89th birthday this year. $890 per market center is being requested to be raised. And you can see throughout the whole company right now, we're about a little bit more than 50% to our goal. But if you take a look in our market centers, like Vail, Mountain Properties is less than, or is about 80% of the way there. So, if everybody just donates about 15 more dollars, we will hit our goals here. We could do that today. Top of the Rockies, it is, if we have 12 people who donate $16, then we'll hit our goal. So I encourage everybody to do that. That's probably less than the price of a lunch. So skip a lunch at a restaurant and donate to KW Cares. I also would like to recognize our 2026 Colorado cultural ambassadors. I'm not sure who the woman is on the right. I'm so sorry. But Laura Carden from the mountain, or from Top of the Rockies, is our 2026 cultural ambassador. So she'll be doing some things at Mega Camp and throughout the year with us. So I just give a shout out to Laura. Laura has given so much to Keller Williams over the years and has, I think, really kept our Top of the Rockies office afloat over the last 7 years or so. And we thank Laura for everything that she's done. And she really embodies the culture of KW. She looks for win-win situations. She gives back. She is collaborative and she is a light. So thank you, Laura. Don't forget that we have the Mile High Market Briefs with Russ and Charles every Monday at noon. As you are striving to continue to be a market expert, and if you need to figure out what source you need to mine for that, if you do nothing else, go to the Mile High Market Brief, and you can pull that into your weekly emails, your daily conversations as you're talking about real estate to everybody. Marielle, thank you for making our guest speakers not look like aliens, because even though we are working towards, learning how to harness AI more, we are staying human. So we're working smarter, we're scaling faster, and we're staying human. The AI powered agent is coming on June 11th. It will be more of a panel type of a conversation, a little bit more like Social Media Con was at Family Reunion. It will be at the DCSD Legacy Campus down in Parker. It's Thursday, June 11th, from 9 to 3. We recommend this event, but if you're busy and you've got a lot of stuff going on and you don't want to leave the mountains, on Friday, the day after, Lauren Lucas is going to be coming up to Silverthorne to the Altitude Board of Realtors. I am going to challenge everybody. Please attend and bring a guest. They do not have to be part of KW. But if you have somebody who is in your crew in KW2 who might need a little bit more plugging in, that can be a really great guest to bring as well. So let's make sure we fill the room at the Altitude Board of Realtors on Friday, June 12th from 10 to 1. This will be very much a workshop type of a class. So you'll have to do a little bit of homework before you come to the class so that you actually get a little bit more. That's some feedback that we've gotten about some of these AI classes, that there's so much great information and it feels like you're drinking from a fire hose and then you go home and you don't do anything with it. So the goal is with this Lauren Lucas event is that you can do things with it and make it actionable immediately. Also in June, the KW Luxury Pro in-person speaker series will be in Aspen. Actually, this week it will be in Santa Fe, May 20th, but June 17th it will be in Aspen. That's also Finney's birthday. So that's my little dude. And, you know, it's great to have Brady and the gang be in our neck of the woods. So Ann Skinner will have some more information. The info registration will be coming out. This is open to the Luxury Pro group, as well as earned in agents, leaders, and other guests. For earned in agents, KW leaders, MAPS coaches, and guests of KW, we have tickets are available for $150. We do have this MAPS coaching on Thursday, June 18th. This is a Colorado regional event via Zoom. Patrick Ferry is going to give us some tips on how to stop marketing like every other agent. It's a 90-minute online class. I highly recommend that you jump into this as well. We can do this in our market centers too. Mega Agent Camp is in San Antonio, August 17th through 20th. The ticket cost now is $1,099. So jump in there and maybe let's all make a plan and, you know, go on down together. Rocky Mountain Summit again is coming September 23rd through the 25th. This is a not miss event. We would love to know if you're coming. Shoot us an email, shoot me an email, shoot Ryan an email. We can do some group rate pricing if we get some info. I think we already have that out for Top of the Rockies, and we have some folks already registered as well. All right, we're going to recognize a couple of folks and groups right now. So congratulations for May so far of 2020. So far, Dan Derman, you are the number 4 top individual in closed units. You've 6 so far. Number 4 in closed volume in the region hold on a second, I just lost my slide. And I can't see it because it's on here. Boom, hold on. Let me go back to full screen. Number 10 top individual in GCI with just under $97,000. And then the June's team is the number 5 top group in closed units with 15 units. That's pretty awesome. I see how busy you all are. You're also the number 5 top group in closed volume with just over 7 mil, and your GCI is right around 212,000. All right, so we are going to hop into the chair chat section. We are going to welcome Brandy Loebker today. Brandy is a highly accomplished broker, owner, and industry leader out of the Sarasota and Manatee County area. She's OP and broker of Keller Williams Island Life Real Estate and KW Suncoast, and she has multiple businesses. Brandy, thank you so much for being here today. Going to stop my share. And Marielle, if you can highlight Brandy, that would be awesome. How's it
Hi,
going?
everyone. How are you? I'm so excited to hopefully get out west for that Aspen event. So hope to see you there.
I think that'll be a really good one. And I mean, June and Aspen is
I
just about to
know.
be.
Can't go
Yes.
wrong there. So hope to see you
No.
there.
Yeah, and I mean, we had some snow yesterday, and you're not having that where you are right now, correct?
No, no, I was actually born in Colorado. It did snow in May, the day I was born, and then I moved to Florida when I was in third grade. So I pretty much grew up here, but we've only seen snow a few times, and when I say snow, it's just a little frost on the grass, but that's our version of snow.
Absolutely. So, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business and your market and what you have built over the last few years?
Sure. So I started as really what you would call a director of first impressions at an independent real estate company in downtown Main Street of Sarasota. I was registered for graduate school. I wanted to be what's called an industrial organizational psychologist, which is basically a business consultant. And so I was attending USF. I had done my undergrad there, and I took that summer job as I was working in a restaurant at night. And then I fell in love with real estate. I learned the operational side. And at that time, I was putting like their listing consultations together with like Word and PowerPoint. I mean, this was very old school. We did not have AI, but I learned really the back end operations and also the business side. I was doing all the bookkeeping just because no one else was doing it. And I wanted to make sure it was running like a business. And then I was really kind of the right hand assistant for the top agents. And I would help them with their contracts and everything I could do, not being licensed because we can fill in things in Florida. And then later I got my license and then I got recruited after they did offer me ownership in that brokerage, but I was doing the books and I saw a lot of money coming in, but a lot of money going out. So I could do, second grade math and took a different opportunity, mentored under many different great people from commercial to residential that were investors, land developers, and just really old school people in town that did the basics of investing in real estate. And that led me to launch my own brokerage in 2008, which was not really the ideal time in everyone else's mind, but commission checks were slowly coming in from builders and people were going out of business. So I thought, well, if I write my own checks to myself, I have control over my money. So I did that. And then Keller Williams approached me in 2010 and I helped them launch downtown Sarasota with the previous owners. And then after that, I served on the ALC for the finance committee. I've always loved numbers. And then the regional director basically asked if I wanted more opportunity because I was always coming to regional training and raising my hand and curious and inquisitive. And I said, well, what do you mean? And she said, would you like to launch a market center? And I said, oh, I've already owned a brokerage. I just prefer to have a team within KW and keep it simple. And she kept kind of asking. And then she said there was a building that might be for sale. Well, that caught my attention because I wanted to invest in commercial and it was it was an off-market deal. So I went down and did a lease option and thought, well, if the KW fails for whatever reason, I have a cash flowing commercial building. And then that led to now we have 7 market centers, 14 different businesses, from staging to mortgage, title, anything that will offer a great experience for clients. And we love it. My brother and I are business partners, and we have a great time doing what we do.
That's awesome. I mean, you have built that type of a business that is integrated into, our day-to-day of what a market center does. And you've built a strong database-driven business. What are your key habits or your systems that you follow consistently to stay top of mind for people?
Yeah, I think you said it already. Consistency, doing all the boring stuff, the non-sexy stuff in real estate. I know we get all those dopamine rushes from being in the middle of the deal and negotiating, but all the boring consistent communication you can really make fun if you're focused on what your niche is. And for me, it's my niche would be wealth building. That's my mission, is to help people from all levels get into homeownership and compound their money through real estate investment. And so whether it's a school teacher on a very limited salary like we are in Florida here with school teachers, just buying land and doing what they can to invest today. We've helped, again, school teachers become multimillionaires through buying land and holding, to, very experienced investors in luxury that own commercial and residential. And we do asset performance analysis on their portfolio and what they should, basically exchange through a 1031 or DST, what they should hold on to, which ones are underperforming. So we're not really just listing property, we're consulting with them and helping them understand what they should do. And sometimes that's holding the property, and any other realtor might walk in the door and say to them, they're just focused on that listing and how they're going to market it. And for us, it's, does this make sense for them to continue holding this asset, or are they in the disposition phase and we need to figure out a tax strategy with the CPA and their attorney to preserve and protect and transfer that wealth accordingly?
As the OP of your market centers, how do you educate your agents in the wealth building sector?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically my love language, so everyone knows that's all I talk about. I live and breathe my mission, which makes it easier. I think sometimes when we set goals, right, they have a destination and there's an end point. But if you have a mission, a vision, and values, a belief system, and perspective, and you're consistently aligning and attracting people that are looking to be a part of that big world, and you are very excited every day to help them build their wealth, and that in turn I know they're going to go do that same thing with their clients, it makes it very easy. All of our education and training and consulting is based around that versus sales. Most of our agents, just like I'm sure all of your experienced agents here, most of them know sales. I still role play with them every morning at 8:30. I'm not saying, I don't do the basics with them. I love Phil Jones and I incorporate that in all of our language and words that work. But we really look at our training calendar and go, what would a high level producer or an independent company that might want to merge with our company look at our training calendar and see and appreciate and want to attend versus just having new agent training? And of course, I know we need the Breakthrough 120, which can apply to anyone. I've attended some of those classes and it brings me right back to the basics, which sometimes we need, right?
Yeah, we absolutely do. Would you say that most of your agents, buy into the wealth building sector or, area as well?
I think it's you whatever you put out, you attract, so in your marketing messaging, and if everyone knows that's what you do and that's what you're about and you live and breathe by, you're naturally going to attract people that want to be a part of that. Although we do have people where, yeah, there's a lot of things that they might need to do. They might need to attend bold to reframe their thinking from being taught money is bad. And, today I got to wake up and we weren't number one in KW Cares for one of my market centers. So on the way there at every stoplight, I'm like, oh, I'm donating so we can be number one. And so, being able to give back will help change someone's mindset of money is bad. Because if you're in a position to where someone calls you and someone's in need and you're able to help them and it's what you believe in. I do a lot of suicide prevention work with veterans. I work with the Humane Society, that's a non-kill shelter. We are very involved with the state of Florida, looking to get legislation passed for the entire state to be non-kill shelter framework. And so the CEO for the Humane Society in Sarasota County is really on a mission for that. So I think it makes it really easy for you to shift people's thinking if you can find out, like, what are they passionate about? It might not be suicide prevention for them. My best friend committed suicide when I was 17, so it's really close to my heart. And again, I work with a lot of veterans. I come from a veteran family, and we all know that's highly prevalent in that world. So, it might not be that, but what is it that is close to their heart that we can maybe reframe or help rewire how they think about money and what it can do?
I love that. And I have more dogs than I need right now because I also rescue. Three is like a hole in my head right now. But
Yeah, I
let's
have three too.
they're all maniacs and I love them so much.
Yeah.
So, let's just kind of jump back into the basics just a titch, right? So let's
Sure.
talk about like databases. So a
hmm
lot of our agents, they have a database, but very few actually convert them into listings. What do you think separates the agents who get the businesses from their database versus the ones that don't? Because we have to, start down with some of those building blocks in order to get to up here.
Yeah. Yeah, I would just say chunk it down, right? Every day. I know it's the basic stuff, but just build your bunker so you can make your phone calls or anytime you're thinking of someone. I mean, I just ran through AI, and it was what Lauren Lucas taught me, actually giving her a little shout out. So make sure you go to her training, the twin AI. I created a twin, right? And I created a work space for it to remind me of my D2 DT, setup. And so I just have a little reminder. It's dummy proof, just, who to call. And it's so simple. We learn this in bold, but it's boring, right? So I'm kind of forced to lead by example because I am in leadership, but I would just say, love on your people, call the people when you think about them. Make sure you plan your 4 quarterly events in advance and make them all different and make them what you love, right? If you want to do something at the Humane Society to help raise money there and invite your clients, like make it a 2-for-1 or something that you enjoy. So you're going to have your big heart in it too. But I know it sounds like a lot to do for events, but if you really plan in advance and you have your workflows created, I think what happens is sometimes we don't have our workflows in place and then we get overwhelmed. So what I really think helped me is Gary talked about it in his last mastermind is using AI as a thought partner to help me look at my systems and tools on the back end, right? Because we have 3 things in business according to the MREA or any business, not just millionaire real estate agent, but it's people, systems, and tools. So if it's just you, right, you have your person as a solo agent, you might have a cyberbacker or an assistant, or maybe you're a team. So you have a great organization with people, but your systems and tools create your workflows. So really just working with AI, if you don't want to write them all down and that seems tedious, to help you from, your lead generation to your appointment to your listing or buyer consultation. What does that look like experience-wise for your client? And I look at luxury as an experience, not a price point. And then from, okay, now I have the listing. What does the first 3 weeks look like? And that workflow. Does this consumer know what we're doing on the back end? Are we proactive in setting the expectation? And then now we have an offer. What happens next? Right? Creating little mini videos where it's your face, letting them know what to expect next, and doing that in advance is really going to help those workflows so it's not so chaotic and they feel that it's very peaceful, even though it might be wild on the back end, but it's those workflows. And then what's the next workflow, right? Then you're in escrow and then you go to closing, and then what happens after a closing. So I think just simplifying it and maybe using AI to improve those workflows and be very proactive.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel on every deal.
No, yeah, I mean it's very basic, and I think we get really excited and sometimes highly emotional in real estate, and sometimes it's the other agent involved, and really just, I always look at like Maslow's hierarchy of like needs, right? What is their need? Are they in a frustration, or anger state? And don't let that affect yours, and just stay very calm and joy filled. And again, if you are living by that mission, it's very easy not to get rattled. No one's going to take over my joy and headspace in my day. I might need to call them back later if they're highly emotional and frustrated and all that jazz. I might say, maybe just have lunch and I'll call you back. But I think having those workflows and being proactive and preventing the unknowns and uncertainty is going to help with the client experience. It's the unknowns and the uncertainty is where the client's left to figure things out. And even though you think you have told them what's next in the consultation, there's all these little things that happen in between. So we have to kind of break it down to a rudimentary level, no matter what price point or how experienced they are. It doesn't matter if they're a CFO from a major company or first-time buyer. It's that same workflow. You're giving the same experience. And that's what's really going to get that repeat client. And referrals before you even close. If you're getting referrals from right at the appointment of other people, that means you have great workflows.
Well, I think you already answered a little bit of this, in terms of workflow and conversations. But when you're going after those listings with your clients in this market, how are your client conversations different than the average agent?
Yeah, I think it goes back to just being inquisitive, learning about what all do they own. I have a pretty extensive buyer survey as part of my workflow. So my pre-listing is very strong. I would say that's one of our biggest strengths. So I teach a lot of classes on that. And so by the time I get to the listing, I mean, we're essentially bonded from what they know about our organization. I treat it just like a business. They understand who's helping me on the back end operationally. And so I'm going to show up with a gift. I never show up empty handed. I don't care if you're inviting me over for tea or to list your home. Like, I was just taught not to show up empty-handed. So it doesn't have to be anything super expensive, especially if they're wealthy. They can buy anything. It's just a gesture and being polite. And then my presentation, everything is branded, everything is high level. It doesn't matter the price point. I'm going on a listing today and she said, "Oh, I think I'm only going to be priced 800,000 to 1.1. I really don't know, but I think like you don't cover this price point," and basically looking at your online presence. And I just reassured her. I said, I said, "You are a designer. I'm sure your, condo is well positioned condition wise. So my job is to help you strategically price it for the market conditions." And again, my experience is luxury. It's not a price point. And that is very much to me a luxury price point because somebody, is spending a lot of money to buy your condo. And so I'm going to show up again with a gift, a great presentation, but it's really a strong pre-listing as part of your workflow that's going to make the biggest difference. I mean, she sent me so much information before I even asked for it because I described what I was going to email her requesting during the pre-listing. So I have everything I need. So all we have to do is sign when I get there.
I think you answered this a little bit too, but you were just talking about how maybe a client doesn't necessarily always believe that they're in a luxury space. And sometimes our agents, as they're working into it, they may have this like a mind block in terms of luxury. How can we help our agents, and how have you helped our agents shift into that luxury mindset all the time?
Yeah, I always think of how I would want, a family member to be treated. If they're older, I would think, if my grandparents were still alive, how would I want them to be treated that when they've held real estate for as long as they did? Or if it's younger, like I helped my nephew buy his first home at a young age. So how would I want him treated? So I think it's very easy when you relate it to that or how you would like to be treated. But I also think as an agent, you can get really intimidated and overwhelmed with all the systems and tools, the AI, price points can be intimidating. So I really think just being around growth-minded people that are really supportive, sometimes co-listing with a very strong luxury agent might be the first best step. That way you're not doing anything outside of the area of your expertise. That was what I did to learn luxury first. I felt like I was going to violate code of ethics, because it wasn't really my area of expertise. And I read that in NAR and I'm like, oh, I better partner with someone, just like commercial, before I did commercial, I had to partner with someone. So I think sharing commission is a lot easier and will help you really get your first kind of win. And I do that and pay it forward to a lot of my agents if they need help. And I think that helps build confidence because they can shadow. So just maybe find someone in your office that might be willing to help you. We have a culture of collaboration and productivity at Keller Williams. So I would think there's someone in the Earned In Luxury or Luxury Pro, your market center liaison or ambassador that would be very, very excited to help you.
Well, and we are doing that actually. As soon as we're done here with the lift, a group of us are going to head out to McCoy, Colorado, to visit a $17 million ranch property that Will Rostron has on. Will
Wow.
and the Gold Team have on the market. So we're, introducing folks to that luxury realm who might not necessarily be there right now. We did that. We did a tour, a luxury tour that Ann Skinner put together, who's our luxury liaison here in the office to the region, a couple of weeks ago too. So I guess we're doing some of the things that you're telling us that we ought to do.
Yeah.
So that's
It sounds like everyone has opportunities sitting right in front of them, it sounds like.
we do. And and from what Russ has told me too, you've also had some major success recruiting recently. In addition to like just market center recruiting, we do have teams who are looking to grow their agent count. What do you think attracted people to partner with you and your organization that we could, learn some best practices from?
I think, I'm a very hands-on OP, so I'm also still in production, so I do kind of have an idea of what they're experiencing and going through. I've had a team. I've, been in real estate a long time. I think when I consult with the big teams, and now we're actually meeting with a big Indy of about 200 agents. I met with another Indy with 800 agents a few weeks ago. I think it's just really asking them great questions about what their thoughts are with all the disruption in the industry. And what is it that they're looking to do as far as legacy? And so, again, they know how to sell real estate. It's how are we going to help them increase their profit and also leave an impact? Some of them are trying to figure out to sell their property or sell their business one day or position themselves to hand it off to someone, their son or another person. So it's more of a business consultation. And it's all about, okay, let's really look behind the scenes. Even though they sell a lot, is the business in their name? Is it 80% buyer or are they heavy with listing? Is this something, if an outside person were to come in and look at this to purchase outside of real estate, would they see value in this? Because if everything's in their name or they're the main person producing, somebody might take 70% off that right away. So how do we help them reposition moving forward if they are looking to retire and do the golden handoff? And that's been really beneficial because sometimes they've never thought of that or they just really didn't know how businesses are evaluated. So being that I like to buy businesses and real estate companies, I'm able to give them a little advice on what a buyer would be looking at.
That is all great advice. And I know you have a hard stop in 3 minutes. So
3 minutes,
can
yeah.
you leave us? What would be one piece of advice about building a business that creates both listings and a high opportunity and opportunities at a high level? What would that be? It's just that one last piece of advice for our folks.
Yeah, I think just mindset is the most important. You never know what your highest sale is going to be. I've sold several properties above 10 million that I never thought was possible, and that sounds really intimidating and wild. But these people are looking for guidance just like any other client. So think big, aim high, like they say with MREA, and act bold. And that's not just something to say. It really is something to live by and really be around anyone that is going to help you think big, aim high, and act bold. And it's easy to be around people that are complaining about the market. And, as we say in bold, because we're running bold right now in one of my market centers, complaining equals garbage magnet. So, there's no pressure, no diamonds, but honestly, it's really the same process. And it really is the same with luxury clients. They're looking for someone that is going to help them solve a problem and get them to their desired outcome. So it might be a different outcome and it might be a different problem than what you're normally looking for, or you're normally handling with another price point. But it's the same process. It's just the problem or the desired outcome might be different. And just you have to identify that. And also in your marketing and messaging, the best thing to do is talk about that problem that particular client or that avatar might be looking to solve. And the desired outcome is usually for them to build, protect, and transfer their wealth, creating generational legacy.
I love that. Think big, aim high, act bold, and listen to what people are saying.
Yep. Yep. Ask a lot of questions. And I'm sure you all follow Phil Jones. He's having an open office hour today. Every morning we do role play. It's probably way too early for your time zone, but find a role play partner. You probably have someone in the market center doing it, and it's all Phil Jones. We're helping each other really be a consultant and not telling and selling, because they're going to tell you exactly what their needs are and what their desired outcome is the more we listen.
Well, thank you so much for your time this morning and all of your info. And I'm going to pull out those Phil Jones cards that we have in the office too, and get some of that going. So, have a
I love
fabulous
it.
have a fabulous day. For the rest of you, remember if you're
Thank you.
coming to Will's open house in McCoy, we are gathering at the market centers together. Scott, I want to put something together in Estes, so maybe we can collaborate with Anne as well and get some stuff in all of our areas here too. So have a great day. If anybody needs anything, give me a shout. Have a good one.